hope it's still. If it's not, that's okay. Ooh, okay. Just gonna leave it there. Okay, so I'm back like I said I would be. And I'm going to be reviewing P Valley season 2, episode 5. And this one is White Nights. Let's get my notes. Um, this one is we get the backstory of Keyshawn, which is Miss Mississippi. Um, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was an amazing episode, and I just think how they had the entire feel of it really feeling dreamy and mystical and kind of like I say, White Knight, like unicornish. It really fit into Mississippi because it's obvious that throughout the show and especially throughout the episode, we see that she really lives in like a false reality, um, like a dreamlike state. And I think that is what really helps her cope with her reality, um, and really separate the two. And that's how she's able to go in and out. She's kind of able to tap into, Mississippi and be all that she's really not in real life. And I think that really just speaks to the allure of the dancers and how, like, when you walk into the pink and everyone's like enthralled, it's like this fantasy that you get taken away to. And I think it really speaks to the show, and it also just speaks to the arch of Mississippi's character. Um, the beginning of it was giving me showgirls. Like when we walk in and not walk in, but when we come in and we see Mississippi getting ready in the back, like it was giving like a Black Nomi. If you see, I'm chewing gum. It was giving like a Black Nomi, kind of that naive but ready to dive in head first, like you know it all, but you know you really don't, but you scared, but you gotta look and act the part, the real pretty girl, and about to get eaten up alive by, you know, the snake, really the boss that I forgot his name in Showgirls, but who Rome is to Mississippi. Um, and all the game that he's spitting with I think it also plays into his whole allure of, oh, I'm gonna bring you this, I'm gonna give you that, I'm gonna give you this, like talking around her to like talking business talk around her to make her think, oh, he doing something, like, oh, he the boss, he making things happen. And I feel as if talking about it around her to make her feel inclusive in it, but also like above her, like literally she's sitting down, he's standing, but also talking in a sense where it's like above her, where like, she is supposed to trust that he's doing the right thing and that he knows what he's supposed to be doing. It's almost like letting her hear a little bit of it, but intentionally trying to make it too big for her to understand. So she feels as if, well, I have to have Rome here to help me with XYZ, because who's gonna do the business deal? Who's gonna get me that? And stuff like that. But we find out later on in the episode, Mississippi's a lot smarter than what she shows. Um, it was also when he put the blonde wig on her, it was giving me like Anna Nicole, and it was also giving me how he was going through the wigs, and he was like, "I'm gonna get you your own wig line," and he pointed to the blonde one. And even Mississippi didn't feel comfortable putting it on, and she was like, "I don't know if this gonna go up my skin tone, and if this gonna look good on me." And he's already very subtly talking her into doing things that she doesn't feel comfortable with, and making it feel as if it's for her greater good. Like, I know better. This is what I'm doing. Like, even the simple fact of him wanting her to wear that blonde wig, and she didn't feel comfortable because she's like, I don't wear blonde wigs. It really, that contrast, and it was setting the tone of, pretty much pushing her in a realm that she's not ready for, in a realm that she really is doesn't feel comfortable, but she feels as if, well, this is the next step. I have to do it. It's gonna be better for my career, me to make money for my family, things like that. Um, and I think the a central thing that's always shown up in season one, and even now in season two, is this whole damsel in distress with Keyshawn. It's always implied that somebody has to save Keyshawn, and that's exactly what we get with the episode with a white knight. That fairy tale of that dream of I'm going to be saved by this. I don't know, this gleaming white pure light that'll take me, dust me off, make me special, make me pretty, make me whole. And further on in the episode, I just think that speaks to well, we already saw it in the first season. Keyshawn is very colorist. You can tell that she thinks low of herself because of her skin tone, and I think that also plays a part into why she was enthralled with Derek. Getting involved with this white boy to kind of, make these pretty yellow babies with that. She has alluded to that in the first season to kind of clean up her genes and clean up her, kind of like to live vicariously through this white man and through their biracial children. Like I may have started off ugly and dark, but look what I made. I was able to make something pretty because of this whiteness and um wearing it on me, even from the blonde wig, the styling of it. It was real, kind of like real like white woman 70s. Um, then we see Jocelyn. We transition to like the stage where it's, well, I think it was like a Legends night. They had Jocelyn, Jessica Dime, and it was two other girls. I don't know them. Um, but in my mind, I was thinking Jocelyn and Jessica Dime done, you know, they didn't bury the hatchet because Jocelyn used to call Jessica Dime Penny when they was beefing on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So I was like, they didn't, you know, worked out their kinks, but if the check is right, they'll play nice. Um, I thought it was interesting how Jocelyn, is the one to introduce Keyshawn, and it was also nice to see Jocelyn perform to do it like it's my B day, because that's been her biggest hit so far. So to still be able to ride that wave and kind of like, I think it's kind of like a full circle for a dancer. Like, you used to dance to the music, now you are a music artist, and now your song is playing in the clubs, and now that's what the girls are dancing to, and you can be on this big stage and put on this performance for everybody. So I thought that was really nice, like a full circle moment in real life for Jocelyn. Um, Also with Jocelyn and how she was talking to Keyshawn. First of all, I don't believe Jocelyn was acting because that's just who she is. Like the way her demeanor, how she was talking, especially with the finger pointing and stuff, all that. But the way she was talking to Keyshawn and giving her card, and was like a bad bitch to another bad bitch. Just gotta check on each other whenever you need me. I'm here to talk to you. And I was like, Jocelyn, this is what you were supposed to do with Jocelyn's Cabaret. Not beat down and demean those girls. This is what you should have been doing, like making yourself like the godfather, not the godfather, the godmother. But Jocelyn don't want, she don't want to be outshined, and I think she's the type of person that she thinks that helping somebody else shine is gonna take away from her shine. And it's it instead of being like a teacher, Jocelyn just ends up with that kind of like pimp hoe ish. It's like she don't know how to step out of that. But enough about Jocelyn. Um, Also, like just like I already said, um, I feel like this season and especially this episode is requiring like the viewer to really um submit to your subconscious, like your fantasy, your innermost thoughts that you really probably don't even realize that you have. Um, the things that don't make sense, but they somehow make sense, like the occult knowledge. It is very like, I don't want to get too much into astrology, but I feel like this whole season is giving like real 12th house energy. Like there's no real boundaries and barriers anymore. It's like everybody's kind of like operating in between past life, current life, fantasy, or outside of themselves. It's almost as if everybody's subconscious and their conscious is just mixed up and jumbled up, and you're trying to go through these muddy waters. It's like the real unknown. And I think I like it because you can go anywhere with that, and it just really allows you to like trust the story. Um, and I think also with that, it really allows other storylines and the characters to truly develop in not just stereotypical ways, but in real life ways, like ways that we would say, "Oh, that don't make sense. So why would she do that? Why would he say that? Why would he do, all of that?" So I like that as well. Um, Also, I love that Uncle Clifford is narrating Keyshawn's episode because it does give the sense that, because Uncle Clifford is kind of like one of Keyshawn's saviors. By having her at the club, she has been able to make a name for herself. Um, Really to become, you know, maybe locally famous, but a budding star off of Mississippi. This character that she becomes in the Pink, and she is one of the star dancers. Her, Mercedes, and Gidget were the Holy Trinity. So, in a way, Uncle Clifford is a savior of hers as well because he has created this environment for Keyshawn to be able to surrender to, especially from her abusive home, and to really step into this realm and kind of like have her dreams come true in a way they never had before. Because we see her backstory that obviously her growing up, especially in her teenage years, she didn't get that reassurance that she was beautiful, she was desired, she was wanted. But then when she comes on the stage and she becomes Mississippi, like they are on this tour really because of Mississippi. Yeah, they got murder, but people are there to see Mississippi dance. She's beautiful, she's talented, she's sexy. The way she can move around the pole, it's making everybody like, oh my God, look at her. And then Rome was always calling her chocolate Barbie and stuff. And mind you, the actress who plays Keyshawn is stunning. She is gorgeous. But yeah, move on from that. I think we start to foreshadow and go back to when Keyshawn was in high school, and we see her trying out for the cheerleading squad, and she's not able to stand up, be able to do the trick, so she falls and hurts herself. I thought that was kind of like a little bit of foreshadowing because Derek is the cheerleader on the bottom holding up the cheerleaders, and I was like, the fact that she fell while he was supposed to, hold her up, and she falls, hits her face, and gets a bruise or not. And I was like, is that kind of like foreshadowing in a way? But like he's standing over her, like, are you okay? I don't know if that's like foreshadowing in a way that this man is literally going to be your downfall. Like, you will get hurt in this man's care. Um, and he's going to stand over you and make you feel as if, it's okay. Are you all right? And make you feel as if you're safe with him. And I think also the fact that he kind of redeemed himself when he started beating up the guy who called Keyshawn a burnt chicken nugget. That um, it almost kind of plays into her real life, her current life now with Derek. She's not safe with this man. she's going to get hurt with this man. She is getting hurt with this man from this man, but yet he's able to step in on little moments and make her feel, I guess, safe again. He's able to make himself softer, like, baby, I'm sorry, and stuff like that. I don't know, I feel like that was a little bit of foreshadowing. Um, the burnt chicken nugget thing, it's always, colorism is such a invasive and just like, I don't know how to really say it because you can go on and on and on about it. But I think it's just always interesting. And a lot of times when we see dark skinned women being picked on, a lot of times they're being picked on by other dark skinned people, dark skinned men. And the fact that this boy who was Keyshawn's complexion called her a burnt chicken nugget, and then he had balls to spit on Derek. I think, hold up. I think got a little gangster lean. I don't know how long it's been leaning. Ooh, ooh. I'm gonna just leave it alone. Ooh, maybe I can fix it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. There we go. So yeah, and Derek beats him up, and Keyshawn is like, like in awe of that because she's probably never had anybody really stand up for her and really make her feel good, feel valued, feel worthy in that moment that, you did this for everybody to see. You checked him, you beat him up on my behalf. I don't even know you, um, you know. Oh, and also I forgot to put that Keyshawn is there with her stepsister. What's her stepsister's name? Alicia. And she is, presented as, the coveted light skinned girl. Um, and it's just interesting how she goes up there. She's able to do the trick and she makes the team. And that's where we really see how the colorism plays out at home. And I think how Keyshawn always, compares herself to her, but also at the same time wants to be close to her because having that closeness with someone seen as pretty as Alicia and oh, you're attached to Keyshawn, I think she thinks it'll rub off on her. And a lot of people do that. They have the very pretty girl and they be like, oh, the ugly best friend that the pretty girl keeps around to feel prettier, but also that the so-called ugly friend keeps around to make them feel good as well. It's a weird and toxic relationship, but it's also both of them are using the other to get something out of it. Um, we also see Keyshawn at home with her stepmama, her daddy's new wife, and her two stepsisters. First Alicia, and then the other sister Veronica, who is her stepmama Shanice's daughters. And I think it's interesting how I could be going somewhere with this, but I think it's interesting how Alicia is supposed to be the pretty, light skinned, very perfect one, and it's like reassured in her accomplishments, how the boys like her, and also I think it's reassured in their names. Alicia is very palatable. It's a safe name. When you read that name, you don't know if they're black or they're white. And having a name like that will allow her to be in spaces where she can go far and really be in high places around high people versus where LaRonica is a very ethnic name. It's a black name. If you hear it, you're going to think it's a black girl. Keyshawn, if you hear that name, you're going to think it's a black girl. And I also thought how it was really interesting how when Keyshawn was doing LaRonica's hair and she accidentally burnt it, Shanice, the stepmama, said, you took the one thing away from her that made her beautiful, and that was her long hair. And the way she was so upset about it, it was almost like, oh my God, you've like taken a notch off of one of my daughters, and now they're equal to you, and you're supposed to be, the less beautiful one of all of them. Even to the point where she was like, oh, I'm raising two daughters, and Keyshawn has to remind her that it's three. Like, she does not even think to include Keyshawn in their home, the home that they all live in. Like, that's how dismissive she is of Keyshawn. Um, and also the fact that she thinks that the only thing that makes Veronica beautiful is her hair. And I think that also speaks to another spectrum of colorism that, yes, it is very much so targeted towards darker skinned women and darker skinned people, but even for lighter skinned people, especially lighter skinned women, sometimes it's not enough, especially if you are amongst other light skinned women. It's not enough just for you to be light skinned. Then that's when, you know, the specifics start to come in and you start to grade that. It's almost like, okay, you're light skinned, but do you have nice hair? Do you have thin features? Do you have a broad nose or a thin nose? Do you have big lips and things like that? And it's obvious that I think all of the girls are beautiful, like the actresses. And it's obvious that Veronica is more black looking. She has a more rounder nose. She has more fuller lips. Um, I think just the fact that she has a more blacker name, Veronica, it kind of is almost like chinks in her light skin armor. Like, dang, you kind of got that. Like, you light skin, but you ain't that far off from being over there with Keyshawn because you ain't got that much going for you. All you really got is your hair to separate yourself now. And now Keyshawn fucked that up. So now it's like, dang, girl, like, you down there with them, like, that's kind of the vibe it was giving. Like, Veronica, you skating on thin ice, girl. Thin ice. That's what it was giving. Also, the little Christmas party that they got, and by them being in the deep south, it's kind of like segregated. I don't think it's actually segregated, but people stick to their own groups. Who they feel most comfortable with. So of course, a lot of the black kids go where the black kids are, and the white kids go where the white kids are, and they call it nigger toe and cracker toe. But the parties, the Christmas party is really called mistletoe. It's just ridiculous. Nigger toe and cracker toe. And I think, especially when they were at the scene talking about their dates, that rivalry is felt between the sisters because it's like, yeah, we're light skinned, but then you're seen as having better features than me. So they kind of have that sibling rivalry with that colorist undertone to it. So a lot of times they're bickering at each other, and Keyshawn is able to not be affected by it. I think they don't go at Keyshawn because they're too busy going at each other. Um, and the oldest, not I think Veronica's younger than Alicia, and she's like, well, at least my name on the bathroom for who get the best head. And it's like, you may look better than me, you may be seen better than me, but you a hoe. So that knocks notches off you. Because you know how in high school, you doing this, you doing that. Whoever's already sexually active is like deemed a hoe. Whatever. And then Keyshawn reassures her like, "There, that's a compliment, whatever." Um, we see Keyshawn and Derek, they're eyeing each other, and we see how they're starting to kind of have a little attraction, but like, I got a crush on you, you got a crush on me. I thought it was real weird that Keyshawn and Derek, like, Derek saw her walking home from school in the rain. He was driving his little Prius, and she wasn't going home with the girls. I'm like, why is Keyshawn walking in the rain? That's weird. Like, why is Keyshawn walking in the rain? Um, And for Derek to be the one to pick her up, you know, she got her books over her head so she don't get her weave wet. That also plays into the white savior, the white knight. Like, oh, he saved me from getting my hair wet, girl, so he won't see my hair really frizz up or fuzz up or get messed up. He'll still see me looking nice looking. I paid attention to Keyshawn's books that she had in her hand. One of them said accountant, I believe, and the other one I can't remember. But I was like, that's good to know. That means, you know, she's studying, you know, math, numbers, probably money. So Keyshawn get, you know, she's studying those things to probably, you know, understand money better, to see how to make it work better for her so she can build herself up. I think Keyshawn, because of how she feels about herself, she's always thinking of ways of to make myself better. How can I fix myself? So I'm gonna take these courses. But I think she's also probably just smart. So I was like, ding ding, that's another pointer that shows that Keyshawn is a lot smarter than we think she is. Um, they end up at Taffy's, and we find out that we see a bruise on Derek, and I think Derek said he got it from practice or whatever, but it's implied that Derek's daddy um, be beating him, beating his ass. And Derek daddy thought he was gay because he's a cheerleader. So we see where Derek, I hate to say crazy, but Derek is crazy. Um, and what he learns to have all this tension and this violence, like it's been taught to him all his life from his daddy. And another thing that speaks to how strong Derek is, because I ain't gonna lie, when the first season, the last episode, when Diamond and Derek was fighting in the bathroom, I was shocked, and you could tell Diamond was shocked. Like, oh shit, the white boy can fight. Like the fact that he was giving Diamond a run for his money, and Diamond was military trained, and I was like, Derek is a cheerleader, but he is like the base. So that means he's holding up the cheerleaders. And granted, they have to be small, probably like 120 or something. I don't know. I ain't never been a cheerleader. But he has to catch them in a hand while they go up and do them tricks and them flips, and he catches them and before they fall. And so yeah, you can say that's 120 or whatever, but that's 120 coming down with force like that hard. Plus he a country boy, so you know he probably be riding around in the sticks doing this, and his daddy been beating his ass all his life, so he been having to fight his daddy off. That boy's strong. That's how he had to be beating on folk like that, especially Keyshawn. I thought it was really interesting that Patrice, Mercedes' mama, was their waitress, and she was like, "What else you want?" And Keyshawn was like, "Oh, just another order of bacon fries." And she like, "That's it? Like you with this white boy? You done brought him around town, obviously to their side because most everybody in there was black." Let me take this off. Mostly everybody was black. So her walking in there with him is like, oh, Keyshawn, I got your little white boy. And then, also to add to that, it appears that almost Keyshawn and Derek come from similar socioeconomic backgrounds. Both of them are come from money in a sense. Like Derek's people, they probably have, you know, some clout and some pull in that community. And Keyshawn lives in a big fancy house with her dad and her stepmama and her sister. So it's interesting to see how they both came from resources and ease, and not having to struggle, and to see them struggle, because they're both being punished for their relationship. Um, so yeah, um, I think well, per my notes, we get to Shanice. They're setting up for the holiday, Christmas, and Shanice is telling her girls how she got with Keyshawn's daddy, and she's saying how, you know, she served him, I think it was a glass of wine or something. So I don't know if she was a stewardess, cause I think they said it was on an airplane, or maybe I just assumed it was an airplane. But Keyshawn was like, "Oh, and don't forget you served his wife, who was Keyshawn's mama at the time, and she pretty much Keyshawn pretty much be like, "You was a home wrecker. You took my daddy from my mama," and they end up arguing and end up fighting. She throws some mashed potatoes at Keyshawn, and I was like, "Is this 3LW?" Because I'm like, I've been noticing throughout the season where they've been like pulling from pop culture, like little nuances, and I'm like, 3LW, Keyshawn and Naturi, two other light skinned girls, they in the group. She get kicked out eventually when she get kicked out the house, and she get mashed potatoes thrown on her. And when Keyshawn's like, "You got me fucked up," I may be bougie, but she said she'll pull a Beretta out. And the way she said it, I like the way she said it. I don't know if it was just the actor, like Shannon, how she says it, or she was just adding some nuances to Keyshawn's character. She almost sounded scared when she was saying it, but almost to the point like she felt as if her back was against the wall. So, it's almost like when you gotta fight and you don't really want to fight, but you have to fight to defend yourself. If not, you gonna get stomped out. So it's like she talking a big game, and she don't know if she can back it up, but she gonna have to back it up. She sound a little timid, but like, quit fucking with me a little bit. Um, and she throws some, I think, some bread rolls back at Shanice. One thing I thought was interesting was that the girls did not intervene, and I was like, of course, I didn't want them to jump Keyshawn, but I was like, she fighting back and forth with y'all. Mama done called her a bitch and everything, and y'all just over there. I ain't heard nothing from her. Little church mice, so maybe they tired of their mama too. Cause if you seen her, she was in Beauty Shop, and like the way she was acting really spoke to her line in Beauty Shop when she was like, "Gina, you ain't trying to brighten up the place. You was trying to whiten up the place." When she had brought dang, what was the girl's name? I think her name was Lynn, the white girl from the other beauty salon with her, and she was like, "Lynn's staying." She was like, "This white girl staying," or whatever she said. If you know that line, and then you see her acting in P Valley, I'm like, "Oh, you done brought it full circle, girl." Um, Another thing, I don't know if I'm skipping, but I know we get to the scene where the girls they have their dates and they go out. Their dates will come over to take pictures with them for the mistletoe. I thought it was real fucked up that Keyshawn's daddy, um, that Keyshawn's daddy asked her to take the picture. Like, you don't think to include your daughter, even if she wasn't dressed up. Like, this your baby. This is your child. And I think it just speaks to a lot of, some people say how in the black community, especially with some black men, they have their come up woman. And essentially that was probably Keyshawn's mama, where he probably married a darker skinned woman who was dark like him because, he wanted somebody to be there to support him and build him up. They had kids, they're little dark black kids, but he really just needed this woman to build him up to get him to the place where he wanted to be so he can get the woman that he wants, which is the lighter skinned woman.